The fake economy, the mask has come off. Mortgage defaults, Great Depression, job losses. We're going to discuss all that and more today. Hey everybody, JJ. It is Bull to the Bust. It is Saturday, April 4th. Hope everyone is well, staying healthy, staying above water, and staying sane in this world we're living in. A lot of us are on quarantine and lockdown. Some people are afraid to leave the home because you might get a ticket. And if that sounds paranoid, just take a look at some of the news. People are being given, they've been given citations in some areas for being out of the house without a valid, or what they're calling an essential reason. It's pretty scary. It's the beginning of a police state as martial law provisions are being implemented in certain parts of the country, and it could get that way nationwide. I hope not, but it looks like an authoritarian crackdown is in force here based on this cerveza bug. So quick video today, topics at hand. The great economy was only great for the top 10%. And let me put quotations around great economy because it wasn't great for everybody. Who was it great for? Well, it's great for the top 10%, corporations, and especially the people involved in the financial industry and a lot of insiders that kind of knew how to trade and profit from the events that cause the markets to move. Okay, people, most Americans especially, have been distracted by games and celebrity worship. We're going to talk about what that means. There's been a recent spike in searches for unemployment and mortgage assistance. People have accepted being in debt as good and the new normal. People now are begging employers, banks, and the government for help. Most of us here as individuals in this nation now are dependent on some entity or the government or employer or bank, and we're basically a nation of beggars now, a lot of us. Finally, the strong people's economy, if it was a strong economy for the people, people would have savings, real wealth, and they would be self-sufficient. No begging. Let's go ahead and get into it. All right, let's start at the top right here, and the top 10% actually. Now, the wealth gap, and what is also referred to as the wealth transfer, where the poor get poorer, the middle class get poorer, but the people at the top, especially the top 10%, they continue to get wealthier and wealthier. And while we've reported on that, I just want to revisit that today because it's true now more than ever. You see, Americans and many people around the world have become basically slaves to the banking system. A lot of us live most of our life in some sort of debt. We work to pay off debt, only to accrue more debt because we have to keep on borrowing to maintain our lifestyles. Banks get unlimited amounts of money for next to nothing, sometimes for nothing. And in fact, it's even worse than that. Banks can create money out of nothing. They can issue debt with money they actually do not have. It's called a fractional reserve banking system. Right? The game is rigged. The people at the top love it. And the general population, well, they need to be distracted by many things, including games and celebrity worship. Right? How many people do you know that spend money, time, and energy, athletes and celebrities both? Right? Think about basketball players, right? A lot of them are 6'5", 6'6", 6'7", and we have people throwing money and cheering for these people, and they barely even have to jump to dunk the basketball, right? By the time they put their arms up, they have to jump maybe 3 inches to dunk the ball, and we have people yelling and screaming and, again, throwing our money, buying season tickets to watch these people, and like it's some amazing feat that somebody 6'6", can dunk a basketball. Right? Meanwhile, we've got thousands of farmers, the people that actually give us the food to eat, to survive. Thousands of farmers going bankrupt, losing everything, getting their farms foreclosed. Right? Crops devastated, wiped out. Nobody cares. Nobody talks about it. Why? Because we're too busy worshiping celebrities and athletes. Right? So more people can tell you who their favorite actor, what award their favorite actor won, who won the Grammy, who won the Emmy, or whatever the award is for the movies. I don't know. Don't bother correcting me in comments. I don't care. Let's talk about the spike in searches for unemployment and mortgage assistance. That should really tell you the position that most people are in nowadays. Also, I want to mention, I'm not trying to take the high ground here. I've been guilty myself of spending time and energy watching celebrities and athletes. I think all of us do. I mean, a lot of us have a lot of stress in our lives and we need a relief. And for a lot of us, it is entertainment, right? Who wants to think about the economy and how bad things are, right? People just want to forget about it and they want to be entertained. And a lot of it is healthy. I mean, look at music. I think music is healthy. You listen to music, you listen to your favorite song, you're happy, you're dancing. I'm not trying to be a sport here. I'm just saying that when it comes to society as a whole, a lot of us are distracted and we're navigated away from the things that should be really important to all of us. And a lot of it, I think, is intentional, right? They put it on the news. You see the entertainment news, like which celebrity got a new dress, like that's the important thing that you should be thinking about. All right, let's take a look at the unemployment numbers. This goes beyond the Great Depression. We're going to take a look at the ups and downs throughout time here, going all the way back many decades. This was tweeted out by Len Kiefer, and it shows you the ups and downs with the boom and bust cycles. But take a look towards the end at the big surge here recently in jobless claims. Here we go. There we go. And actually, I don't think that gets the last week where we had another several million people filing for unemployment just last week, and it was about 10 million just in the past 2 weeks of March. Okay, also ending in March, let's take a look at daily searches for unemployment benefits. We see just a huge spike, and it only takes a few weeks without a paycheck before the average U.S. person who typically lives paycheck to paycheck is going to need to begin looking for help or assistance. Here's another one right here. This is the Google trend for unemployment. We can see the huge spike here, and that should easily tell you where Americans' minds are at here recently since this pandemic basically shut down society. All right, here's another one right here. This is a search trend. What if I can't pay my mortgage? And we see again huge spike here to the right side of the chart. All right, so many people got into a home that they can afford as long as nothing ever goes wrong, but as soon as they lose their job, it only takes a couple weeks before they're unable to make their mortgage payment. Think about that. Only after a few weeks, people cannot make their mortgage payment. So people did not put money away for a rainy day. They got into the biggest home, the most expensive home they can afford typically, got the biggest mortgage that they could qualify for, and therefore went out and bought the biggest home they could get qualified for based on their mortgage. Right, but think about the time frame here, a 30-year mortgage, like nothing would ever go wrong in 30 years. The fact that banks even lend based on just looking back a couple years at someone's income, they give a 30-year loan and only look back at a couple years on somebody's income. You know how many things could go wrong in 30 years? Well, what we're seeing right now is an example. Okay, another search trend. How can I pay my rent? So renters are in the same situation. Rents have also drastically increased. And that's one of the reasons we've always pointed to that people are rushing to buy homes, and why they've rushed to buy homes over the past few years is because rents are also expensive. So people look at it and they say, am I going to sit in an overpriced home that I'm renting, or am I going to go out and get a big loan so I can buy a home and in some cases pay the same amount per month instead of renting? Well, now it's renters and homeowners that are going to be turned into beggars a lot of cases. And that's why I put down here, people are now begging employers, banks, and the government for help. People are going to be asking their landlord to forgive their rent or to give rent forbearance. The same thing with their employers. They're going to ask them not to be laid off. The federal government's coming in and they're backing many of these employers by paying for extended unemployment benefits. And that had a adverse effect in many cases because now employers are saying, hey, instead of trying to keep these employees and not firing them, I'm going to go ahead and lay them off because the government's going to pay for the unemployment. All right. Now back to what we talked about at the top here, the top 10%, how well are they doing? Well, this should tip you off right here. Let's take a look here out of Bloomberg. Goldman Sachs CEO buys 2 jets. Right? So all those years that they told you the economy was strong, who was it strong for? Was it for the top 10%? Right? For the heads of these corporations, the CEOs, the bankers, the politicians? Or was it strong for the average working American, the middle class individual? Right? I think you know the answer. Right? In a real strong economy for the people, people would have savings, real wealth. They would be self-sufficient. That means no begging to the banks, to the government, to their employers for forgiveness or forbearance on a loan payment or handouts and unemployment benefits. But you see, that's where they want us. They want us as servants to them. Right? This all goes back to the central bank mechanism of control. It's centralization of the money creation, and it allows these people at the very top, the market makers, the monopoly men, to transform society to better benefit themselves, and they have unlimited funds available to do so because they create the funds, they create the money, they create the debt that keeps us all under control and in their grasp. Right? So maybe this economic freeze up that we're in right now, maybe this will be the wake-up call that people will need. Maybe there will be something better on the other side, but what I'm seeing now is more and more control from the top down, more authoritarianism. Now, when it comes to sports, I would encourage everybody, instead of paying money to watch other people play sports, million-dollar athletes, I would encourage you to play sports, play basketball, go for a jog, play soccer. Right, get exercise, it's good for you. That is, if you could leave the house without getting a ticket for being out for non-essential reasons. Exercise is essential. It's good for your physical health, your emotional health, your well-being. So I hope everyone is staying well as we navigate through this unprecedented time in history and financial chaos that's going to continue to unfold. Please come back for more updates from this channel. Bo Boom Bear Bust. Bye for now.